The call no one wants to receive never arrives at a convenient time. It doesn't wait until you're emotionally ready. It doesn't check your schedule. It doesn't ask, is now okay for your life to split into before and after? It comes in the middle of something ordinary. You're in the supermarket. You're half watching a Christmas movie. You're wrapping gifts, answering emails, stirring a pot on the stove. You're scrolling on your phone, thinking about nothing important. And then the screen lights up. Sometimes you recognize the number immediately. A family member, a hospital, a neighbor. Sometimes it's an unfamiliar number that gives you a tiny instinctive twist in your stomach. Sometimes you almost don't pick up, but you do. And in a handful of seconds, your entire world is rewritten. There's been an accident. I'm so sorry to tell you. We did everything we could. The results have come back. You need to come as soon as you can. Your brain cannot absorb the words at the speed they arrive. It hears them, but it doesn't fully register them. Time slows down and speeds up at the same time. The room feels both too small and too big. Sounds around you become muffled, distant, like you're underwater. People imagine that grief starts at the funeral. For you, it started with the first sentence of that call. Psychology calls this a shock response. The body's emergency system kicks in. Heart racing, breathing shallow or held, muscles tensing, stomach dropping, hands going cold. Your mind is suddenly trying to process information that is completely incompatible with the reality it knew 5 seconds ago. Dead? Critical? Cancer? Gone? Your system scrambles to understand. It can't. So it tries to negotiate. Wait, are you sure? Maybe I misunderstood. This can't be right. Maybe they'll call back and say they made a mistake. But the voice on the other end doesn't give you that escape hatch. It stays in that calm, heavy tone you will never forget. In that moment, you are pushed into a world you never wanted to inhabit. The world of people who know what it means to say, I remember exactly where I was when I got the call. The coffee cup on the table, the smell of food in the oven, the shirt you were wearing, the way the light fell through the window, the sound of the Christmas song playing softly in the background. All of it becomes permanently glued to the news you received. From that day on, those details are no longer neutral. They are symbols. This is what trauma does. It gathers the ordinary things around a moment of terror and stamps them with emotional ink. That's why, months or years later, a ringtone can still make your chest tighten. That's why unknown numbers can still send a jolt through your body. That's why a hospital's name on your screen can make your hands shake. That's why the smell of that day, the song that was playing, the color of the room, all of it can suddenly drag you back into that instant, as if no time has passed at all. And when Christmas returns, it brings its own echo. Because perhaps that call happened near this season. Perhaps the tree was already up. Perhaps the lights were already hanging. Perhaps they had already bought gifts that would never be opened. Or perhaps, this year, you are answering the phone in December with a dread that didn't used to live in you. You used to think of the holidays as a safe time, cozy, predictable, wrapped in tradition. Now, you know that life doesn't respect seasons. It doesn't say, oh, it's Christmas, I'll wait. When the call comes, you are not only dealing with the news itself, you are dealing with the violent tearing of your idea of how life should work. They were fine yesterday. I just spoke to them. We were making plans. We were supposed to see each other for Christmas. This disconnect between what was supposed to happen and what actually happened is one of the most destabilizing parts of sudden loss or shocking diagnosis. Your mind keeps trying to rewind and fix it. If I had called earlier, if they had stayed home, if I had noticed something, if I had insisted on a checkup, if I had driven instead, if, you replay everything you did and didn't do, everything they said and didn't say. You are trying to find a lever that would have changed the outcome, not because you are guilty, but because accepting that you never had that lever is almost unbearable. The call no one wants to receive doesn't just bring news. It brings a new version of you, one who suddenly understands fragility, not as an idea, but as a lived reality. One who knows how fast everything can change. One who is now permanently aware that a phone call can carry a catastrophe. You may find yourself startled by how your body behaves after that day, jumping at sounds, checking on loved ones compulsively, feeling a bolt of panic when someone is late answering a message, waking up at night imagining your phone ringing in the dark. Your nervous system, once shocked, becomes more sensitive to the possibility of more shocks. It's not you overreacting. It's you trying to protect yourself from being blindsided again. And yet, paradoxically, the protection doesn't really protect. Knowing it can happen again doesn't make it hurt less. It just makes you live more on edge. Around Christmas, this tension can feel almost unbearable. You see people filming themselves opening gifts, laughing, clinking glasses. You hear joy, peace, Merry Christmas over and over. And somewhere in your chest you feel like you are in a different dimension altogether. Maybe this is your first Christmas after the call. Maybe it's been years, but this season still wakes everything up. Either way, it's easy to feel like the world has moved on and left you in a frozen moment. But your reaction, your difficulty, your anger at the unfairness, all of it is normal. What happened to you wasn't small. It wasn't just bad news. It was the shattering of the illusion that your life is safely protected from sudden catastrophe. So what do you do with that? How do you live with a phone that can be both connection and weapon? The first step is to admit that this changed you. You're not back to normal, and maybe you never will be, not in the way you were before. And that doesn't mean you are broken. It means you're marked by something heavy and real, the way all humans are marked by their hardest moments. The second step is to let yourself feel the whole spectrum, not just sadness, shock, rage, numbness, confusion, guilt, even the strange guilty relief that comes after the worst has already happened and you're no longer waiting for the other shoe to drop. You are allowed to hate that day. You are allowed to hate that ringtone. You are allowed to hate the sentence that started it all. You don't have to rush to gratitude, meaning, or acceptance. Those things, if they come later, slowly, quietly, and only if they are genuine. They cannot be forced. There is something else too. As much as that call shattered you, it also testifies to something important. You had something to lose. The deeper the love, the deeper the shock. The harder the blow, the more it says about what they meant to you. The pain is not a punishment. It is a measure. It tells you that this person mattered so much that even a device in your hand became a weapon when it was used to announce their suffering, their death, their disappearance from your everyday life. You may find yourself replaying not only the call, but what you did immediately after. Did you scream? Did you go silent? Did you drop the phone? Did you ask the same question again and again because you didn't understand? Did you drive somewhere, hardly remembering the journey? Did you sit down on the floor, completely unable to move? Your reaction was not right or wrong. It was simply what your body did under impact. If others were around, maybe you heard yourself say the words out loud for a first time. They're gone. They had an accident. They found something. Hearing your own voice carry that reality can be its own trauma. In the months after, you might notice that your relationship with communication itself has changed. Small messages feel both insignificant and enormous. Saying "talk later" can suddenly feel dangerous, like you're tempting fate. Leaving an argument unresolved feels riskier than it used to. Some people after the call become more direct. "I love you, just in case. Text me when you arrive. Don't leave it like this." Others pull back, too scared to attach, always half-braced for the next shock. However you're reacting, remember, you are adapting to a wound, not malfunctioning. And yet, even here, in this place you never wanted to be, you still have choices. You can choose what story you build around that call. One story says, "That was the moment my world ended. I am only the person who lost." Another story says, "That was the moment my world changed. I carry this pain and I am also more awake to what matters, even when it hurts." Neither story erases what happened, but they shape what you do with it. This Christmas, you might feel tempted to run from anything that reminds you of that day, or to drown in it. Maybe you swing between both. There is a middle path, though it's narrow and hard. It looks like this. You acknowledge the call, you acknowledge the terror, you acknowledge the before and after, and then, deliberately, you make small decisions that are not ruled only by that moment. You answer people you care about when they call. You send the message you've been postponing. You allow yourself to feel joy for a few minutes without apologizing to the memory of the person you lost. You light a candle for them, not to relive the call, but to honor the life that existed before it and the love that continues after it. If the call you received was about a diagnosis and not an immediate loss, the pain is different but related. You were handed a future full of uncertainty. Christmas becomes a marker. This might be our last one like this. In that case, the invitation is similar and just as difficult. To live in the tension between knowing and not knowing. To let yourself cherish without pretending you're not scared. To let yourself laugh without feeling disloyal to your fear. To be present with the person in front of you rather than living only in the shadow of what might come next. And if you find yourself unable to carry this alone, reaching out for help is not weakness. Talking about the call, in a therapist's office, with a trusted friend, in a quiet room with someone who can sit in silence with you, is one of the ways trauma begins to loosen its grip. Telling the story in your own words allows your nervous system to file it differently. Not forget it, not erase it, but move it from eternal present to deep past that still hurts but no longer controls every second. The call no one wants to receive will always be a scar in your life. You will remember the date without looking at a calendar. You will know the season, the weather, the way your heart felt like it was being torn out through your VIMS. But over time, if you let yourself grieve, love, rage, soften, and live, that call will no longer be the only thing about that person or that year or you. It will be a chapter, a brutal chapter, but not the title of your entire story. This Christmas, as your phone lights up with messages and calls, some trivial, some important, all ordinary, you are allowed to feel both things at once. The tremor that remembers what a phone can bring, and the quiet gratitude that right now, this ring is just someone asking a simple question, saying hello, or telling you they're on their way. You know what it means to have everything change in a single sentence. That knowledge will never fully leave you, but you can decide, gently, slowly, stubbornly, that because you know that, you will not sleepwalk through your days. You will answer with presence. You will love without guarantees. You will say what matters more often. You will let the horror of that call sharpen, not your fear alone, but your capacity to live honestly while you still can. The call no one wants to receive took something from you that cannot be replaced. But it did not take your entire future, unless you hand that over too. You are still here, breathing, listening, capable of love. And that, however fragile it feels, is its own quiet miracle in this season of lights.